Hello, my name is Christian, and welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about games in gross detail. The following video will contain spoilers for Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. If you wish not to be spoiled, it might be a good idea to turn back now. Naughty Dog's Uncharted series is regularly noted for its bombastic set pieces and movie-like presentation. Oftentimes, the series feels like it is less concerned with its story and more so with letting the player do cool things, but overall, I think this is okay because the impression each installment has left on me is still very apparent. Thinking of my playthroughs of the first three games particularly reminds me of times I escaped a pirate ship. As it was slowly being flooded, I stumbled into the lost city of Shambhala and discovered that El Dorado wasn't a treasure at all, but rather a cursed statue. Story bits like these are par for the course in Nathan Drake's first three adventures, as the mischievous treasure hunter naturally yearns for the calling of adventure. One of the reoccurring ideas within these games is that Nathan himself cannot seem to escape the temptations that come with the world of thievery. Not only the potential for riches and fame, but the chance to go on a real journey and fight off mustache-twirling bad guys has become genuinely addicting for him. One might expect Uncharted 4 to follow suit with such ideas of temptation and greed, but simply put, this isn't the case. All throughout Uncharted 4, there is such an apparent shift in the way Nathan Drake sees the world around him. Uncharted 4 makes it clear very early on that it isn't content to trudge around in the established story progression of its previous installments. In fact, the relationship between Nate and his older brother Sam Drake serves to humanize Nate in more diverse and interesting ways than we have ever seen before in the series. The first occurrence of this being the opening act, which sees Nathan and his older brother infiltrating a Panamanian prison to retrieve the lost cross of Henry Avery. This entire scene is a flashback and showcases a much younger and less experienced Nathan, and unfortunately their plan goes horribly wrong. Nathan and Sam get caught by some prison guards, and just as they are about to escape with the treasure intact, Sam is shot and, as far as Nathan knows, presumably dead. This is a horrifying moment for Nate, but one that humanizes him for the viewer. Much of the time in the other Uncharted games, Nate was little more than the everyman trying to get the job done. We liked him because he was cool and funny, but never gave much thought into who he actually was on the inside. This scene not only serves to showcase that we didn't know as much about Nate as we originally thought, but it also sets a more mature and realistic tone for the rest of our narrative. Fast forward to the present, and long gone is the youthful and spirited adventurer we had come to know in the first three games. Rather, Nathan Drake has withdrawn from his addiction to pursue a mundane existence. Nate works a salvage job during the day, has settled down and gotten married to his wife Elena, and even when proposed to take on a salvage job in a different country, he declines it. Nate is constantly shown to have urges of adventure still within him, but due to his obsessive personality, he tries to mute these urges, continuing the rhythm of his now normal life. This is shown when we see Nate working up in his attic and he sees all the trinkets and treasures he has collected from his previous adventures. There is even a scene where he zones out during a conversation with Elena, marveling at a picture in his house that vaguely resembles a location from his past ventures. Despite these urges, he has fully committed himself to the idea of becoming a family man due to his self-awareness of his obsession and his love for his wife Elena. However, a shockingly very alive Sam Drake knocks on Nate's door fresh out of Panamanian prison, bearing a story. If they don't find the rest of Henry Avery's lost treasure, a Panamanian drug lord will kill him in 3 months. Nate is faced with a predicament here where his urge for adventure and newfound maturity clash. In many ways, Nathan identifies with Sam's urge to go and find new adventures, but after settling down and making a life of his own, he doesn't want to get sucked into the world of treasure hunting again. While Sam was left in prison, he most likely didn't have much to think about other than where he and Nathan left off, and during that time, Nate has matured into a fully fledged adult, leaving behind Sam's childish dream. Although, even the reason that Nate is forced to re-enter the world of these is a selfless one. In the past, Nathan would go on adventures to seek out riches only for himself and for the thrill of the adventure. In this case, it's the first time Nate is not risking his life for himself, but instead for another. In Uncharted 4, even the reason for Nate's new adventure is steeped in his newfound maturity. All throughout Sam and Nate's journey, the small banter that is shared between the two reflects the change that has occurred over the following years. In Sam's case, he hasn't changed. He has remained infatuated with the idea of Henry Avery's treasure the entirety of the time he was trapped within prison. Nathan is the opposite. He has already lived Sam's dream of becoming a treasure hunter many times over, while Sam was wasting time away. This, interestingly, forms a very different dynamic in Nate and Sam's relationship. Sam no longer serves the role of the older brother. Now Nate does, due to the experience he has gained while Sam was gone. In addition to this, we see Sam's apparent naivety and Nate's newfound maturity. While it is obvious that Nate is for sure having fun re-engaging in this world he was once addicted to, he is doing so out of absolute necessity and not because he wants to. In addition to this, there are plenty moments throughout the story where Sam expresses his excitement over the prospect of finally discovering the riches of Henry Avery, but Nate's response to this is usually different. He doesn't care for the treasure, the idea of treasure doesn't engage him anymore, he only wishes to save his brother. Even when it is revealed that Sam had lied to Nate about his life or death situation, using the story about the Panamanian drug lord as a selfish crutch for Nate to aid him in his search for treasure, Nate forgives him very soon after because he has been in Sam's shoes before. He understands Sam's obsession. Unlike Sam though, he has the insight from those failed experiences to recognize the search isn't worth it. Nate has effectively grown out of his obsession, and despite how much he yearns for it, he knows it is time to leave it behind. The evolution of Nathan's character within Uncharted 4 is a fitting one for someone coming of age. In the previous 3 adventures, the player has seen an obsessive yet talented treasure hunter constantly pursuing his next opportunity to feed his insatiable desires. However, in Uncharted 4, the player is given the vision of a much more mature Nate, one that has grown up alongside the players of the series. For once, the adventure that he sets on isn't for himself, rather it is for another, and even when discovering that Sam's story was a farce, Nathan forgives him due to his apparent growth and empathy. Nathan was always a likable character in the previous installments, but seemed like an untouchable superhero, something that we could always look up to but ultimately never understand. Uncharted 4 scraps this approach entirely, and rather than making Nathan feel cool, he's made to feel shockingly human. The game starts off teaching us exactly what we don't know about him, and the serious tone continues throughout the whole story. Uncharted 4 is shockingly deep, insightful, and mature. Nathan Drake is no longer the giddy child that was seen in the first 3 games. He is now matured into a greater man. And that is all I have to say today. Thanks everyone for watching my video about Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. I think in comparison to the rest of the series, it's shockingly more in-depth and a lot more mature in general, so I want to do a little bit of a piece about it. Thank you for watching. I don't know exactly what content is coming next. You guys responded really well to the Final Fantasy VII remake videos, so there might be something like that coming along in the future, but yeah, subscribe maybe if you liked it. If you didn't like it, leave a dislike. Anyway, have a great day guys, take it easy.